Welcome back, everyone. Well done on your work last week with the internal design of your speaker. All the work there looked pretty good. What we're going to be looking at today is the outside design of your speaker. And we're going to have a go at drawing it in isometric, which we touched on 2 weeks ago. So you can see some examples here of different designs drawn in isometric. And we're just going to go through with you now today how we're going to attempt to draw those. So remember last time, some of you managed to print out some isometric grid paper to help you out, and that can go underneath your A4 paper. And then you can start drawing your framework just using those lines. Like so, okay, if you remember how to do that. If you haven't got isometric paper, that's absolutely fine. All you need to do, if you think about if there's a horizontal line, you always start off with the front corner of your object. So imagine if this is your passive speaker here, and you've got the front corner of your object. And these lines here, you can see, they go off roughly 30 degrees. This one might look a bit steeper, but if you go for roughly 30 degrees on each side, and that's what we're going to try and replicate with your drawing. So you could, if you wanted to, you get a protractor out, but it doesn't need to be precise. Just draw your rough 30-degree angles. You can see how I'm rotating my paper, so I can go across the paper. If I try and draw up or down, it's a lot harder to get a nice straight line. If I wanted to do that line there, turn the paper, and it's a lot easier to draw across the paper, let's say. So this shape here is basically made up out of a rectangle. So that's the first thing we need to draw in isometric is your rectangle. And the key thing here is to have these lines parallel. I've got the top lines here. These lines need to be parallel as well. That's the key thing when you come to your isometric drawing. You can see I'm being fairly rough with it at the moment because we're going to go over the fine line afterwards. So just going to draw on that front corner of my rectangle and then draw on the rough size of my rectangle here. You can see how it's fairly rough to start with. Doesn't matter if you use a couple of lines. Okay, and so I've got roughly my rectangular shape for my main body of the passive speaker. Now this is where I can start going into some more details. So obviously, first thing I want to do is draw on where the iPhone or phone is going to dock into the speaker. Okay, and you basically just draw another rectangle on. But again, key thing is, see this line here is parallel to that line there. So if I move my pencil up the page, you can see each time I stop on these lines, they are parallel. They all are parallel, and that's the key thing. Another key thing is that these vertical lines here need to be completely 90 degrees to the paper. Okay, so I'm going to start building up my framework. Tricky bit comes when you need to draw a circle. I'm going to start off, it might seem a bit bizarre, but I'm going to start off by drawing a square on my design. And again, these lines need to be parallel. I'm going to break that square into quarters. And that will help me guide me to draw my circle shape. Key thing is, when you're drawing a circle in isometric, try and get this section here, all these extra bits here, to be roughly the same sort of size. Okay, and that's how you can help you draw your circle in isometric. So I've got most of the detail I need in the front. Just need to then curve my corners, like so. And again, got those details there. Then think about how far back my docking station will go. Again, key thing is these lines here are parallel. Draw on the thickness there. Okay, And you can see obviously the back corner needs to be drawn in now, so I can draw that line all the way down. And my docking station part drawn in like so. Okay. And all I then need to do is copy on the radius there. Do exactly the same thing with this back radius here. And it's basically a case of dot to dot, really joining all the corners and edges up. So I can draw a line across there, line across there. Okay, and that's pretty much my shape complete. All I need to do is the thickness of my speaker hole. I'll just change it a little bit to go down like that. Okay, and just to add a little bit of extra detail, I'm going to do the base, because obviously if that stood up without the base, it would just fall over when you put your speaker in. So all I need to do is just draw, basically again, start with a rectangle around the outside of your shape. And fairly rough, it's absolutely fine. Like so. And if I want to have slightly curved corners on the edge, that's easy enough to do. I'm just going to draw on my radius on the corners and there as well, and then just follow that bottom line around. And there you have it. You have your speaker design drawn in isometric. So the key thing now is, as I said, you can be fairly rough to start off with, as long as you don't press too hard with your pencil. You can then use what I call a fine liner. It's a handwriting pen. You get lots of varieties. If you don't have one of these at home, obviously a biro may work quite well, obviously a black biro. But if you can have some sort of really fine black pen, it works really well. And what we're going to do, once you've finalised all your light sketch lines, you can just then go over them with a fine liner. Like so. Being really careful this time. So this is a point where you need to be really nice and accurate and neat with your work. Just following those lines you originally did to help you out. Like so. So I won't do the whole shape, but I'll just do part of it. You can see then, say these details here. Like so, and then, okay. And all you need to do then, grab your rubber, rub out those what are called construction lines. And you can see you're then left with the perfect lines that you want to actually keep. What you can then think about doing, if you want to do, is bring a bit of colour into it, so you could render or colour in your shape as well. So hopefully that's helped you look into how you're going to draw your speaker design in isometric. Good luck with that, and look forward to seeing the results, which you should put onto Google Classroom once you're finished. So take a quick photo or scan your sheet and then upload it to Google Classroom.